I've been offered a lot of money and I've seen people do it, and it takes like 2 years. It's a bit overblown, you know, it's not all it's cracked up to be being 80, I don't think. There's no really options here.
Yeah.
You're either going to get there or you're not.
At 82 years old, Mick Jagger just rang in 2026 wearing an animal mask at a fire breather party, wrapped up a secret new album under a fake band name, and quietly confirmed something about the Rolling Stones that fans have genuinely been dreading for years.
They seem to be liking it, but you never know. When you come out with something, you never know. The mood can be not down on you maybe for some reason.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's been pretty positive reaction so far.
Because the internet is drowning in half-truths about Mick Jagger right now, we are going to sit down, get into the verified facts, and let the actual story do the talking. Because trust me, the real story is juicy enough. No exaggeration needed. Just buckle up, because the truth behind Mick Jagger's life right now is quite a lot. The man, the myth, the 82-year-old force of nature. Let's start with the one detail that makes everything else click into place. Mick Jagger is 82 years old. Born July 26, 1943. In Dartford, he's been leading the Rolling Stones since 1962. That's over 6 decades of living under a microscope, setting trends, dodging scandals, and somehow still moving like a man with unfinished business. And in April 2026, he's not slowing down. If anything, he's doing the opposite. Take his New Year's Eve. While most people his age are calling it a night early, Jagger was out at a party with fire breathers, wearing an animal print mask like it was just another Tuesday. He posted 3 photos to Instagram on January 1st. No speech, no dramatic caption. Just, "Happy New Year, everyone!" Like casually posing next to a man breathing fire at 82 is normal behavior. For him, it kind of is. And this isn't some one-off, "look at me, I still got it" moment. This is the pattern. For his 82nd birthday in July 2025, he hosted a packed, very on-brand celebration at the Rex Rooms, the private club co-owned by Jason Momoa. He showed up in a white silk shirt, black trousers, and a jacket with polka dot detail, because, of course, he did. On his arm was fiancée Melanie Hamrick, dressed for the assignment. The guest list? A whole situation. Ronnie Wood was there with his wife. Sacha Baron Cohen showed up. Jimmy Carr pulled through. His daughter Georgia May Jagger was in attendance too. And in a very rock and roll twist, the same venue hosted an after-party tied to Oasis, with the Gallagher family orbiting the same space. Different eras, same chaos. Before that, there was a private dinner at Kensington Roof Gardens. Things reportedly got loud enough to draw complaints and a police response. Whether you take that as gospel or tabloid exaggeration, the takeaway is simple. Even his birthday parties move like headline events. Meanwhile, Hamrick posted a softer side, photos of Jagger with their son, including one where he's wearing bunny ears like a regular dad. That contrast? That's the whole story. Rock icon 1 minute, playful father the next. And then there's the band. Keith Richards posted a birthday tribute. "Here comes another one. Happy birthday, Mick." Ronnie Wood did the same. 60-plus years in, the band is still intact, still talking, still celebrating each other publicly. At 82, Mick Jagger isn't trying to prove anything. He's just still that guy. If Mick is this energetic, this alive, this fully in the game, why are Rolling Stones fans sitting with a knot in their stomachs? What is the body of the man doing that his public persona is not? The science of Mick. Before we get to the bad news, let us spend a moment truly appreciating the good news. Because Mick Jagger's physical condition at 82 is not just remarkable. It is legitimately studied, documented, and, according to fitness and medical experts, backed by decades of deliberate, disciplined work. A Rolling Stones show is not light work. We're talking about a stage roughly 100 by 50 feet and Jagger covering what's been estimated at up to 12 miles of movement in a single performance. He's running, dancing, and singing for nearly 2 hours straight. No breaks, No sitting. No let me catch my breath moment. It's a full, high-intensity, sweat-dripping rock show from start to finish. So how is he doing this at 82? It's not luck. It's a lifestyle he's been locked into for years. Jagger has trained with Norwegian coach Torgeir Eike, and his routine is no joke. We're talking multiple dance rehearsals every week, regular gym sessions, plus meditation and yoga to keep everything balanced. And that's just the foundation. On top of that, he runs several miles at a time, cycles, swims, does kickboxing, ballet, Pilates, and constant stretching. Before tours, he's said he starts prepping up to 6 weeks in advance before rehearsals even begin. Sir, this is a full-time job. Fitness experts who've looked at his routine basically say the same thing. It's the ideal mix: cardio, strength, flexibility, and mental conditioning all working together. Nothing is neglected. And yes, genetics help. His father was a physical education teacher who lived into his 90s. But let's not get it twisted. This level of conditioning is built, not inherited. Then there's his diet, which is giving professional athlete who minds his business. Lean proteins like fish and chicken, vegetables, whole grains, clean, organic foods, very little processed anything. And reportedly, he's cut out alcohol completely. The result? According to producer Andrew Watt, during recording sessions for Hackney Diamonds, Jagger would walk in looking calm and composed, then within minutes turn into full performance mode. Layers coming off, energy ramping up, delivering vocals like a man half his age. That was at 80, and he kept that same energy at 81 and 82. So let's be clear. This isn't a story about a body breaking down. This is a story about one of the most finely maintained instruments in rock history, and what happens when everything around it can't quite keep up. Here is where the story shifts. While Mick has been fire-breathing into 2026, the Rolling Stones as a touring entity has been quietly, painfully hitting a wall. And the announcement that finally came, confirmed by sources to Variety, the gold standard of the music industry, is the one nobody wanted to hear. The cancelled tour and the uncomfortable truth behind it. Here's what we actually know. And yeah, it stings a little. The Rolling Stones quietly scrapped plans for a 2026 UK and European stadium tour. This wasn't rumor mill chaos. It was confirmed via a source speaking to Variety in December 2025. The issue? Keith Richards reportedly couldn't commit. And this wasn't some light, nostalgic run. We're talking a full, multi-country stadium tour. The kind of massive, globe-trotting operation they've built their legacy on. Dates were being discussed. Plans were moving. Then suddenly, everything just stopped. No big announcement. No dramatic press release. Just silence. The reason, according to reports, was simple but heavy. Keith wasn't up for 4+ months on the road. Think about what that actually means. Night after night. Different cities, different time zones, constant travel, rehearsals, sound checks, full performances. It's exhausting for a 30-year-old. For someone in their 80s, especially dealing with arthritis, it's a completely different conversation. And to be fair, Keith himself hasn't hidden that reality. In a 2023 interview with BBC, he openly talked about adapting to arthritis. Not in a dramatic way, but in that very Keith Richards way. He basically said when something doesn't work anymore, he finds another way to play. Different finger, different position, new sound. It's inspiring, but it also quietly confirms the limitation is real. Now, can he still perform? Absolutely. He showed up in November 2025 at a small New York session alongside Mavis Staples and Norah Jones and held his own just fine. But let's be honest. A 3-song set in an intimate setting is not the same as a 4-month stadium marathon. Not even close. That's the part people don't always want to say out loud. And here's where it gets even more uncomfortable. This wasn't a one-time issue. Earlier in 2025, the band had already pulled the plug on another planned European stadium tour. That one got far enough that a full itinerary leaked before it was cancelled. So now you've got 2 back-to-back tours, both quietly shelved before they even made it to the announcement stage. That's not random. That's a pattern. To put it in context, their most recent major run, the Hackney Diamonds Tour in 2024, was already scaled back. 20 North American dates over 3 months. Tight, controlled, manageable. A far cry from the globe-spanning chaos they used to thrive on. And of course, the band itself has changed. Charlie Watts passed away in 2021, and while Steve Jordan stepped in seamlessly, that shift mattered. Since then, everything has felt a little more measured, a little more calculated. So what about Mick Jagger? Interestingly, no drama, no public tension. By all accounts, the band handled this internally. Honest conversations, no finger-pointing. When Keith said he couldn't commit, that was it. Decision made. A spokesperson summed it up with that very careful line: "They'll be back when they're good and ready." Now, that used to sound reassuring. After 2 cancelled tours, it hits a little differently. Behind the scenes, there's talk of a workaround. Instead of the band traveling, fans come to them. Residencies in places like the O2 Arena or Las Vegas. One location, multiple shows. Less strain, more control. It's smart and practical. It might even work. But let's not pretend it's the same thing. Because, for a band that built its legend on moving across the world like a rolling storm, staying in one place feels like the beginning of a very different chapter. But here is the part of the story that separates Mick Jagger from every other aging rock star narrative you have ever consumed. Because while the touring picture was getting bleaker, something extraordinary was happening in the studio. Something secretive. Something that, when it finally revealed itself, turned out to be one of the most audacious marketing moves in recent rock history. What were the Rolling Stones cooking up while nobody was watching? The secret album, the Cockroaches, and the greatest stunt in rock. While the cancelled tour headlines were still fresh, cryptic posters began appearing on walls across London's Camden Town. No band name, no explanation. Just a stark image. 2 words: the Cockroaches, and a QR code. For the casual observer, confusing. For anyone who has followed the Rolling Stones closely, an immediate, electric flash of recognition. The Rolling Stones once billed themselves as Keith and the Cockroaches for a secret 1977 show in Toronto, the now legendary El Mocambo Club appearance that became part of rock folklore. The alias has been theirs for nearly 50 years, and when fans scanned that QR code on the Camden posters, it led to a website, thecockroaches.com, registered to Universal Music, the Stones' own record label. The game, as they say, was very much on. This was not spontaneous. Let's walk the verified timeline carefully, because every step of it is documented. May 2025. Marlon Richards casually lets it slip that the Rolling Stones are back in the studio in West London. And not just casually working either. He describes sessions running from after lunch until 2 in the morning. At their big age. When asked what they were making, his answer was basically, well, probably another album. Especially after the Grammy win lit a fire under them. Fast forward to September 24th, 2025. Producer Andrew Watt confirms to Rolling Stone that he's working with them again. His description? Working with them is like working for Batman. Mysterious, controlled, slightly chaotic, and you don't ask too many questions. He admits they recorded together, and then immediately clams up, which honestly tells you everything. Then September 30th, 2025 happens, and this is where it gets loud. Ronnie Wood is at a public event and just says it. No teasing, no PR spin. You will be getting a new album next year. It is done. Done. Not almost. Not we're finishing touches. Done. He also throws in a very honest note about touring. They hope to play shows, but even he doesn't know what's happening yet. In hindsight, that line, a little too real. December 2025 rolls around, and boom, the 2026 stadium tour is scrapped. Quietly. No drama, just a shift in focus. Touring pauses. Album takes center stage. Then, April 2026 decides to act up. Posters start popping up in Camden for a band called The Cockroaches. QR codes, cryptic visuals, and a teaser clip on Instagram. Caption, 64 and counting. If you know, you know. In the clip, a vinyl spins, a gritty blues riff kicks in, and just as the vocals are about to land, it cuts. Rude, effective, very them. April 11th, 2026. The reveal. The Stones, under this alias, drop a vinyl-only single called Rough and Twisted. Just 1,000 copies. No streaming, no Spotify, no Apple Music. If you don't have the vinyl, good luck. And the sound? Pure Stones. Gritty, loud, bluesy. Think Start Me Up energy with a slightly rougher edge. Jagger's vocals, that signature swagger, even a harmonica moment thrown in for good measure. Critics called it raw, rowdy, and very on-brand. Naturally, the internet lost its mind. Fans ripped the vinyl within hours and spread it everywhere. No algorithm needed, just scarcity, hype, and a band that still knows exactly how to make noise. Parties, secret aliases, and a vinyl drop that sent fans into chaos. Cute. But let's be honest. It's also a distraction. Because the real question is still sitting there, waiting. What exactly did Mick Jagger confirm, and why does it feel bigger than everything else combined? What Mick revealed? Here's the truth, hiding underneath all the noise, the parties, the cryptic cockroaches rollout, the viral vinyl moment. And yeah, it requires a level of honesty people don't always love to sit with. The Rolling Stones, as we've known them for over 6 decades, are shifting. Not ending, not collapsing, but clearly stepping into a different phase. And surprisingly, Mick Jagger hasn't tried to spin that reality into something prettier than it is. No farewell tour, no dramatic last ride announcement, no emotional press circuit. Instead, he's done something way more subtle, and honestly, more telling. He's let the facts speak. And the facts? They're consistent. A planned 2025 European Stadium tour quietly disappears. Then the 2026 UK and European Stadium tour does the exact same thing. No official rollout. No big cancellation headline. Just gone. And every credible report points back to the same issue. Keith Richards not being able to commit to months of back-to-back stadium shows. Now, yes, there's been some messier reporting floating around. One unnamed source claimed the road is over for Keith. That's tabloid adjacent, so take it with a grain of salt. But here's the thing, even without the dramatics, the direction is obvious. 2 cancelled tours don't just happen for fun. And then there's the contrast sitting right in front of us. Mick Jagger, still performing like someone who forgot he's in his 80s. Still recording. Still showing up with that same energy in the studio. Producer Andrew Watt described it perfectly during Hackney Diamonds. Jagger walks in layered up, calm, almost low-key, and within minutes, he's in full performance mode. Sweating, moving, delivering vocals like nothing's changed. That was at 80. He's kept that same pace at 81 and 82. So now you've got this slightly awkward, actually very human situation. The one who can still go full throttle isn't operating solo. And the one who can't commit to that level anymore is his bandmate of over 60 years. And here's where Mick's response says everything. No pressure, no public frustration, no shady leaks to make anyone look bad. He hasn't turned this into a me versus them situation. Instead, he's leaned into something you don't always see in bands with this much history. Honesty behind closed doors and loyalty in public. They talk, they decide, they adjust. And Mick? He adapts. He doesn't deny what's happening. He doesn't dramatize it either. He just keeps creating, goes back into the studio, makes another album, keeps the machine moving in a way that works for everyone involved. That's the real answer he's given. Not a statement, not a headline, just action. And if we're being real, that's what makes this whole thing bittersweet. Because it's not about everything falling apart, it's about something evolving. So now we know what's actually been revealed, and how Mick is handling it. But what does this shift really mean going forward? Because the future of this band might not look the way people expect. What comes next? The realistic picture. No spin. Let's be precise here, because this conversation deserves precision. The Rolling Stones have not retired. Nobody has announced they're done. Keith Richards hasn't come out saying he's quitting. What has happened is simpler and, in a way, more telling. 2 planned stadium tours, back-to-back, quietly shelved, and every credible report circles the same issue. He can't commit to the physical demands of a months-long run, largely due to arthritis. That's it. No dramatic ending. Just a reality they can't ignore. If you want the clearest snapshot of where things stand, look at Ronnie Wood. When he was asked about 2026 touring, his answer was refreshingly unpolished. They hope to play, but he's still waiting to find out himself. When a band member doesn't even have a locked plan, you know this isn't some carefully managed PR rollout. It's genuinely up in the air. So what are the options? Nothing official, but a few ideas keep coming up. Residencies are one. Think major venues where the band stays put and fans come to them. Less travel, less strain, more control. Then there's the idea of selective appearances, big one-off shows, festivals, special events instead of long tours. And of course, there's the possibility they just don't tour for a while and focus entirely on music. Right now, all of that is speculation. Informed speculation, but still not confirmed. The honest answer is, nobody outside their inner circle knows what the next move looks like. What is locked in, though, is the music. The new album, produced by Andrew Watt, is finished and expected in 2026. And here's the part that makes you pause a little. Reports say they already have enough material lined up for another album after that. 2 projects ahead, at this stage in their lives. That's what stops this from feeling like a slow goodbye. Because while the logistics of touring are clearly shifting, the creative engine hasn't stalled. If anything, it's still running like they've got something left to prove. And to really understand why that matters, why Mick Jagger being here at 82, still pushing forward, you have to look back at everything he's already outlasted. The bigger picture, what this man has already survived. Here's the thing about Mick Jagger that separates him from every other aging rock star storyline you've heard. He's been counted out before, repeatedly. And every single time, he's turned around and made that prediction look a little embarrassing. Start in 1969. Brian Jones dies at 27, and the narrative is immediate. This is the end. Instead, the Rolling Stones regroup, bring in Mick Taylor, and go on a legendary run. Let It Bleed, Sticky Fingers, Exile on Main Street. Not just survival. Domination. Then, 1974. Mick Taylor leaves. Again, people assume the momentum is gone. Enter Ronnie Wood. The band adjusts and keeps moving like nothing happened. The 1980s? Messy. Jagger and Keith Richards are barely on the same page. Mick goes solo, refuses to tour with the band, and the media basically writes their obituary in real time. Then 1989 hits. They reconcile, drop steel wheels, and launch a tour that smashes revenue records. So much for being finished. In 1993, Bill Wyman exits after 3 decades. At this point, most bands would quietly fade. The Stones? They carry on as a core unit and keep filling stadiums. Then 2019 throws a curveball that feels different. At 75, Jagger is diagnosed with a serious heart valve condition. He undergoes a transcatheter aortic valve replacement in New York. For most people, that's a full stop. For him, it's barely an intermission. Within weeks, he's back rehearsing. That same summer, he's sprinting across stages on the No Filter tour like nothing happened. People said he was done. He answered that with his feet. August 2021 hits even harder. Charlie Watts passes away at 80. And this one, it lands differently. Charlie wasn't just the drummer. He was the steady pulse, the quiet center, holding everything together for nearly 60 years. If anything was going to end the Stones, this felt like it. But even then, they don't fold. They bring in Steve Jordan, someone Charlie himself had suggested, and keep going. They process the loss the only way they know how, through the music. October 2023, they release Hackney Diamonds, first full album of original material in 18 years. It debuts strong, tops charts globally, and critics call it their best work in decades. Then, February 2025, it wins Best Rock Album at the Grammy Awards. Not a lifetime achievement pity clap, a real competitive win against younger bands. And here's the part that really hits. Charlie is still on the record. He'd laid down drum tracks back in 2019 for songs like Mess It Up and Live by the Sword. Even in absence, he's present. Still part of the rhythm, still part of the story. Producer Andrew Watt summed it up perfectly. The music breathes. It speeds up, slows down, moves like a living thing tied to the connection between Jagger, Richards, Wood, Jordan, and Charlie. That's the pattern. Loss, doubt, disruption, and then forward motion anyway. That's always been the Rolling Stones. And so here we are. Mick Jagger is 82 years old. He had heart surgery at 75 and was back on tour within months. He lost his oldest bandmates, one by one, and kept going. He made an album at 80 that won a competitive Grammy. He made another album at 81 and 82. He rang in 2026 at a fire breather party. He pressed 1,000 vinyl copies of a new single under a secret alias, distributed them to independent record stores around the world, and watched the internet lose its mind. The fear that he has confirmed is not that Mick Jagger is dying or declining. The verified facts show the opposite. Physically, creatively, personally, the man is thriving by any measurable standard. The fear is something older and more honest than that. It is the fear that time is finite even for those who seem immune to it. That the particular configuration of humans who became the Rolling Stones, the specific alchemy of Mick and Keith and Ronnie on a stage in front of a stadium crowd, may not be available to us in that form forever. That the era of the Rolling Stones as a touring institution, which has stretched across 6 decades and produced some of the highest-grossing concert runs in music history, is entering a genuinely different phase. And Mick Jagger, to his enormous credit, has not pretended otherwise. He has not issued reassuring non-answers. He has not booked a farewell tour to monetize the anxiety. He has stressed honest communication within the band, respected his bandmates' limitations, and channeled his own considerable energy back into the recording studio, which is, arguably, where the Rolling Stones' legacy was always built anyway. His fiancée, Melanie Hamrick, joking about their 44-year age gap to page 6 at the New York City Ballet Spring Gala in May 2025, said it plainly. He's younger than me. He's amazing, really is. From the person who sees him every day. That is not a publicist's quote. That is the actual observation of someone who has the closest possible view. And the new single, Rough and Twisted, 1,000 copies, white label vinyl, pressed by Universal Music, distributed to record shops around the world, never released on streaming, is, in its own way, the perfect Mick Jagger move. Rare, tangible, impossible to fully possess, still making noise. Still doing it entirely on his own terms. In 1975, Jagger famously told People magazine, "I'd rather be dead than sing Satisfaction when I'm 45. He was 31 at the time. What he could not have imagined is that at 82, he would not only still be singing Satisfaction, he would be pressing secret blues singles on limited vinyl, partying at fire-breather events in animal masks, raising an 8-year-old son, and finishing his 25th studio album. The Rolling Stones were formed in London in 1962. They have sold an estimated more than 250 million albums worldwide. They have broken concert revenue records, won Grammy Awards across 6 decades, survived the loss of founding members, played to hundreds of millions of people across every continent. They are, by any measure, the most enduring act in rock and roll history. And right now, at 82, Mick Jagger is still in the thick of it, still recording, still present, still, undeniably, here. The next chapter may look different. The stadiums may become residencies. The globe-spanning tours may become curated, selective events. That is a legitimate and honest shift to acknowledge. But the music is not stopping. The voice is not gone. And if the fire-breather party at New Year's tells us anything, Mick Jagger is not going gently anywhere. And that is the full story of what Mick Jagger revealed at 82, and what it genuinely means for the Rolling Stones, for their fans, and for the way we think about what it means to keep going. The parties are real. The cancelled tours are real. The new album finished in secret, under a fake band name, released on 1,000 vinyl copies to independent record stores worldwide. Real. The creative momentum, the Grammy. The studio sessions running until 2 a.m. All of it, documented, sourced, verified. The era of the Rolling Stones, as the world has always known them, is in transition. Mick Jagger is being honest about that. And he is doing the only thing he has ever really known how to do in response, making another record, keeping the band honest with each other, and refusing to let the story end on someone else's terms. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think a Rolling Stones residency format could work? Or does it need to be stadiums or nothing? And if you found one of those 1,000 cockroaches vinyl copies, we are genuinely, deeply jealous. Subscribe for more deep dives that actually check the receipts, and we will see you in the next one.